With the release of the new EverDark variants of Libra and Gladius, I've noticed that Nightreign's player base is finding itself struggling to adapt to the game's evolving mechanics. And with the new high difficulty expedition mode just being announced, I'd like to share some useful information that I believe can greatly increase your skill and understanding of the game. I may not be a world record level speedrunner or data miner with access to all the game's data, but I've always been naturally good at RPG type video games, and I believe that I can help my fellow Nightfarers get better at the game as well. All this being said, I'm gonna let the guide speak for itself, but if you'd like to see some of my gameplay to see for yourself whether or not I'm actually good at the game, my alternate account is linked in the description if you'd like to check it out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. To get started, I'd like to establish how we can generally get better at any video game, and one of the most crucial aspects to me of a player's skill is their knowledge of how the game works, but more importantly, how well they understand what the game demands of them in terms of combat skill. I mean, for example, when you play a game like Sekiro, you're a Ronin. You have to understand that the game's gonna demand you to deflect like multiple successive attacks back to back. It feels like you're spamming L1, but in reality, you died countless times to the same boss over and over again, learning their move set so that you can properly deflect every single attack that comes your way. It's kind of like you have to with any game, look at it through the perspective of whoever you're playing as, right? So you have to kind of know how they would fight. And in a sense, I think that naturally makes you a better player when it comes to combat-centered games. With this being said, one issue that you'll quickly notice within our community is that a good portion of our allies don't actually know how to use their characters. One of our community's most frequently asked questions is, can you make a guide for blank character? I mean, you can find Nightfarer guides all over the platform. This is a problem that needs to be addressed if I want to be able to trust my teammates when we're fighting, EverDark Libra, and we've lost like 5 expeditions in a row, and I just can't seem to get that good run. And the game's getting even harder. I should probably make it known now that my main motivation for making this video is because I want to see people get better at the game, so we can all have a better experience. I know the struggle of wanting to play as a Revenant, but not being able to find teammates reliable enough to support you, or trying to be a recluse and you're paired up with like these two raiders who don't understand that you need to hit this tower on the other side of the map. It's little things like that can completely make or break your expedition. And I'm tired of waiting like 30 minutes to get into an expedition because in the character selection menu, the wilder that I'm queued up with automatically sees me playing Guardian and assumes that I'm going to throw the entire match. When in reality, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I can say that I carry like 80% of the people that I play with as a Guardian. So I do think that Guardian does demand some respect to an extent. But I mean, that's what I'm making this video for. I mean, hopefully by the end of this video, I can make you see that as well. Throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you what my process of mastering a Nightfarer is, because I can confidently say that I am good with every single Nightfarer. And actually, the way that I love to play this game is to go into like multiplayer, because solo expeditions are way too easy, and to see the Nightfarers that my teammates are using and then choose a proper Nightfarer, according to the situation. And I do find myself using Guardian over Wilder and Raider and like Executor and Iron Eye pretty often. I actually prefer to use Guardian over these characters at times, and I know I might sound crazy saying that, and I feel like I'm smashing my head into a brick wall trying to get this point across, but I will die on this hill. Guardian is a very viable and strong Nightfarer. I know I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, so let's start by visiting the visual codex and reading a little bit about the Guardian. Upon quickly skimming over Guardian's description, we can already gather all the information we need to make him as strong as possible. From the text, I can gather that Guardian is meant to be at the forefront of every single battle, acting as the backbone of the team, playing both offense and defense to ensure that the entire team succeeding. I feel like sometimes people see a Great Shield and automatically write off a Guardian as a coward, but an experienced Guardian actually uses his shield as a weapon instead of a tool to cower behind. Throughout this video, my goal is also to encourage you to try to create your own builds because I feel like that's what makes you better with every character, understanding how they are meant to be played and adapting that to your preference and how you like to play the game and making yourself as strong as possible. That's literally the formula to getting good at every single Souls game. That's how the games are made. What you want to look for is a character's stats. You know, from what we can see under the attributes section, Guardian's best stats are HP, stamina, and strength, which are actually pretty perfect for the type of build that he is. Guard counters can be pretty busted. I mean, guard counters have proven themselves to be literally one of the best types of builds in Elden Ring. So it's pretty surprising for me to see like the entire community completely disregarding this Nightfarer as if he isn't innately one of the strongest just because he has a monopoly on guard counter builds. So the game offers unique playstyles that we've only recently seen from the release of Elden Ring in 2022. Elden Ring introduced, of course, the new guard counter mechanic, introducing a new attack for the moveset of every single weapon, and also the ability to summon spirits. Now, we have always been able to summon, cooperators and our friends and whatnot, but we've never in these games been able to summon enemies to actually fight for us. Especially with the release of Shadow of the Erdtree, like there's so many spirit summons that are just stronger than your Mimic Ash. So yeah, summoning enemies is actually very it could possibly be very influential to the future of Souls games if there will continue to be that option of, having extra guidance and assistance for your playthroughs if you need it, being able to summon. There's nothing wrong with that on your first playthrough, of course. But I mean, my point being, a lot of new Nightreign players haven't really gotten the chance to play with builds that incorporate these new combat mechanics. I mean, to be fair, you can literally go into Elden Ring and create a guard counter, faith caster, summoner hybrid build, which is just a mix of Guardian and Revenant's abilities and literally steamroll through the entire game because it'll just be that busted. Like, you do have to understand that, the combat in these games is constantly evolving. I know these Souls games can be very daunting to get into at first, and, I don't want people to, stray away from the genre because, they just can't, get the grasp of the game. Anyways, since we're getting a bit sidetracked, let's take a look at Guardian's character abilities. Each of Guardian's character abilities are either based in offensive capabilities or defensive measures. If you've ever played Guardian using the Relic ability that increases the duration of his storm attack, you would know that if you pop that in the middle of a group of banished knights, it's like the silliest thing of all time. Such tough enemies, Guardian can just completely trivialize if you understand how to use them. Like a Bellbrain Hunter, you can just go right up to him. And by the way, let me suggest just learn how to parry. I learned how to parry from playing Dark Souls 1, and it will literally trivialize the most hardest enemies in this game, like Crucible Knights, Bellbrain Hunter, even Holster, you can parry him. It'll just make those fights so much easier, and it's just a really good habit to get into, and it's not even that tough. Like, you can literally use Wilder's Buckler parry and find a Leonine Misbegotten, or a Bellbrain Hunter, or a Crucible Knight, or even a Banished Knight. Just start practicing, and you'll see progress, because that's what these games are built upon, is just practice and applying the things that you learn in order to get stronger. Now that we dissected the theory behind his playstyle, we can start to apply this to how we typically would take Guardian into a fight. I mean, as I keep saying over and over again, what you really want to do is just get right up in an opponent's face with your steel guard, wait for them to stop attacking, and then do a guard counter. And there's so many guard counter buffs in this game that you can just, like, guard counters can easily become one of the strongest attacks that you can do in this game. And I am very excited to see where FromSoft takes guard counters for the future of their games. One common mistake I see people do when playing with Guardian is blocking and poking. I'm not going to lie, I think this playstyle is the sole reason why this community does not like Guardian. If I'm being honest, I do not like queuing up with my fellow Guardians, because every single time I give a Guardian a chance, they're blocking and poking, and it is completely squandering all of Guardian's potential as that strong backbone force for the team. It is a playstyle that completely forces you to become passive, and it offers very little contribution to the team's effort of defeating enemies as fast as possible. I will say this, if you don't want to guard counter, don't use Guardian. I feel like Guardian is like a love letter to guard counter fans. Like, I feel like if you never used the guard counter build in Elden Ring, you've never seen how busted it can get. I feel like you might have a harder time appreciating Guardian. One of the main reasons I love Guardian so much is literally like the Black Steel Great Hammer from Elden Ring. That hammer, along with the deflecting tier, was just, oh my goodness, chef's kiss. Literally one of my favorite builds of all time. The other day, I was trying so hard to use Guardian for an EverDark Caligo expedition. I've never done it, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? I would like to test Guardian's ability to fight an enemy that only attacks you using elemental damage, AoEs, and status effects. Because I want to see if I can make Guardian adapt to whatever scenario I need him to. Let's be honest here, I have way too much time on my hands, and I'm pretty excited for this new hard mode expedition. I really need this, because the game is starting to become way too easy for me. Throughout this entire video, you've been seeing me carry this Executor, who, I have to be honest, was not the easiest person to carry. If you know what you're doing, you can, like, basically stack up your relics to make any Nightfarer's damage comparable to any other. Like, every Nightfarer is completely capable of outputting insane damage. We have to respect people's preferences and how they like to play these games, because it does suck that when you want to play Guardian or Recluse or Revenant, it can be hard to get into a game. People see that you're playing Guardian or Revenant or Recluse, and they automatically assume that you're not going to fit their standards as an ally. even though, little do you know, I would have actually carried you, not the other way around. And if we're going to be, entering into this new hard mode on September 11th, we need to be able to trust each other and have confidence in our teammates and the way that they prefer to play the game. Just for a quick overview on how I like to build around my Guardian, for my simplest relic setup, I was fortunate enough to roll various relics that increase my damage and stamina capabilities. On top of a 10% buff to my guard counters, the relic that reads, taking damage improves attack power is surprisingly strong. It can consistently buff your damage by 15% throughout the entire match. And by the way, if you're looking for a more knowledgeable source of information when it comes to these types of games, I recommend watching Yui. He's my favorite Souls content creator, and he has actually helped me improve at these games a lot. But to conclude up my relic effects for this setup, we use the shockwaves, of course. They're a must-have, but they're an essential on every single Guardian build. You must have those shockwaves because the stagger capabilities, the damage capabilities, even the stance breaking capabilities. There have been so many times where I've gotten a stance break from one of these shockwaves. It's just a must have for Guardian. You need to play with the shockwaves. And the increased storm duration makes your life easier. I mean, we've been over this multiple times by now. This is just the most simple Guardian build that I rock with. It's pretty boring, but when you're expecting enemies that are pretty easy for Guardian, this build can't go wrong. But what about expeditions where you have to face enemies that completely bypass Guardian's shield? I mean, it's no secret that Guardian's pretty weak to elemental attacks and status effects. So there must be a way that you can adapt Guardian to be able to properly handle that challenge. And I can confidently take Guardian into whichever expedition I want to and be one of the most crucial, vital members to the team because I know how to play around this character. Like I said, this character is made for me. I mean, I've beaten Caligo. I've basically, no, I literally have beat every single boss with Guardian. Like, there is no challenge that Guardian can't adapt to. You really, at the end of the day, just have to know what you're doing. And I don't want to sound arrogant or sound like people don't like tell people to get good at the game. That's not the type of guy that I want to be. But at the same time, these games do take a certain level of skill to see success in, and sometimes you do just have to, if you really want to get better at these games, like if you really care about these games, you do have to learn how to get better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Here is my relic setup that I used to defeat EverDark Caligo. I have this relic setup memorized from the top of my head, so it should be the Witch's Brooch, which basically it gives you the shockwaves, which we know are important to Guardian builds. It also gives me the effect that heals my allies when I use my ult, and that is important, very important for this match because I end up using my ult a lot to save this executor. Yeah, when you're fighting harder bosses, make sure that's a very good relic to have. I would always have my eye on that relic when making Guardian builds. I'm not saying you must have it on for every build. I mean, if you do just get good rolls and you're able to make a build that you would feel better and more comfortable playing with, that's by all means fine. But that's just one of the best that's just one of the best Guardian relics, and it's completely guaranteed. The relics that this game gives you are so good and they are completely guaranteed. Like, the game makes it so easy for you to just buy these relics and just keep getting stronger. So the second relic is actually really good. EverDark Gladius's relic may be one of my favorite relics in the entire game. It's completely busted. I would say this is the best relic for any boss that has any remote weakness to fire damage. Stamina recovery upon landing attacks +1 is completely priceless. It is such a good stamina conserving relic, and that is very important for my character, for Guardian, because we need as much stamina as we can. We have to block, entire Night Lord boss combos. So stamina is very important. Taking attacks improves attack power is also very good. This boss does probably like 80% elemental damage, so I'm going to be constantly taking attacks, and I'm going to constantly have at least 15% more attack power. But then we have fire attack power up +2, which is amazing because I found such a good relic with this last relic that changes my skill to flaming strike. It literally just guarantees that I have the best weapon that I could have for this expedition right off the bat. This just goes to show you that you can craft a build for whatever boss you need to defeat. Just be mindful of the bosses whenever you're crafting any build. Be mindful of whatever you're fighting and what it is weak to, and also what the boss's strengths are so that you can adapt to it. Since I know that this boss is going to be slipping through my guard frequently with its elemental damage, I know that taking attacks improves attack power is going to be constantly benefiting me throughout the entire fight. Because I know that the boss is weak to fire, I know that this fire attack power up +2 and having flaming strike on my weapon from the start of the expedition guarantees that I have the best weapon I could have for fighting this boss. And since I'm Guardian, I can easily revive my Executor when I need to. This is essentially how you want to treat every single Nightfarer. I mean, I've even beaten EverDark Libra on duos with Guardian. And EverDark Libra is way worse than EverDark Caligo. EverDark Libra is a complete insane. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. And even in a situation such as that, I was able to use Guardian as a tool to uplift my squad and keep everyone alive and do as much damage as I could. I mean, I had the Sacred Relic Sword. Like, you really just have to make out of every single expedition the most that you can out of it. And once you start doing that, it really becomes impossible to ever even lose an expedition. For the rest of this video, I'm just gonna summarize everything we've already talked about and wrap up my thoughts as I give commentary over me and the executor fighting Caligo. I'd like to start by making it clear that Guardian isn't your free excuse to completely bypass any boss's moveset. Just as with any other Nightfarer, it is extremely beneficial that you always understand your enemy's movesets. And I did stray from making this guide centered on, learning enemy movesets. So if you want to find content information over topics such as those, I recommend watching Chris Crass. I'm pretty sure like the entire Nightreign community is watching him at this point. He's just super reliable and dependable for when it does come to boss guides. Okay, so you can just dodge the ice breath to the side like that. At first, I found it very tricky to dodge Caligo's ice breath, but now even with Guardian, who is known for having a worse dodge, pretty easy. Just dodge to the side. And you want to stay back from all of the dragon's attacks where they breathe ice on the ground. Just run away as far as you can. I see a lot of people like trying to stay close to that. No, sometimes you just have to give the boss some space to breathe. But I mean, as you can see, I'm the one who's right up on the boss, putting all the pressure on. Flaming Strike is really putting in work. You want to back off for the ice breath. Pretty simple stuff. To be fair though, this is just phase one. My teammate really does need to get closer to the boss. A lot of these bosses are a lot more threatening from afar. For Caligo, I mean, it's a Souls dragon. You just want to stay right up on its feet, by its limbs, by its legs. That is where it's weakest. Yep, get away from the ice breath. You see my teammate taking way too long to get away. Lucky he didn't get clipped. He keeps trying to enter the parrying stance, and you can see his health bar, taking that damage. I would not recommend trying to parry Caligo's ice breath. I mean, you see my teammate's already about to die. He just healed up. I'd say Executor's parry is pretty niche, but when it is useful, it's super useful. You see, just absolutely destroying the boss's health bar. Sadly, we missed the crit. It's okay. Should be phase transitioning soon. For this attack, you can just kind of like strafe behind the boss, get some good hits in, and then by the end of the combo, you want to be right up by the boss's legs so you can, do as much damage as you can. I mean, you can notice I haven't two-handed my halberd. I do like to have my shield out sometimes. I mean, obviously I'm not blocking very many of these elemental attacks, but it can be nice to just have your shield out if you need it. It's best to just play safe and not two-hand when fighting a strong boss like this, even if you don't find yourself using your shield often, just so you can always just press L1 when you need to, when you feel like you need to use your shield, and there will be moments in this fight where I do use my shield, just not for now. I would really only recommend two-handing your halberd when you're fighting an enemy like a Leonine Misbegotten or an Elder Lion and they're super weak and you might even have a Raider on your team, because Guardian and Raider are super useful against enemies like that. Even though Guardian is centered around taking enemy aggro, even when you're not taking aggro, like you can still just get behind the boss and do good damage. You can always be doing something during a fight. Of course, it's best for you as Guardian to take all the aggro and be right in front of an enemy, but we know these games don't work like that. If you're ever in a situation where the enemy is not aggroed onto you, just get behind it, get to the side, attack it as much as you can until you gain the enemy's attention. You are guaranteed to get frostbite during this fight. I really wish my Executor would stop trying to parry the stupid attacks, but this attack is very dangerous from afar. Thankfully, I was already out of the AoE's range. If you know you're doing your best, you're attacking the enemy as much as possible, but you're just like not seeing good teammate damage from your teammate, don't get discouraged. Just keep fighting your hardest. Even if the fight feels like it's starting to like slow down, like it might not be in your favor, just know that if you just keep fighting your hardest, eventually the boss will fall before you do. And even if it doesn't, that's all okay. It's all part of the learning experience. You get better at these games from failing and learning from your mistakes. It's best to just like start sprinting when you see that fighter jet attack. I don't know what to call it, so I just call it that because that's what it looks like. But you can, like, if you sprint in a certain direction in a certain manner, you can always position yourself facing Caligo's head at the end of that combo to get good damage in. Okay, thankfully we got that critical hit. Yeah, just want to run away from this as soon as you see it. You see that executor slowly inching off, waiting to use his deflecting skill, and that is what got him killed because he didn't run away as soon as possible. That's okay, that's what I'm here for. I don't even have to worry about that explosion. I can just focus on healing my teammate because Guardian is made to be super tanky. It's pretty hard to die with Guardian once you know what you're doing with him. And I don't even have a purple halberd or a great shield. This game could be going so much better if we'd hit any like caves, but I don't know what happened. I don't think we had the time, or my teammate didn't want to visit any caves, but that's okay. Even with the blue halberd and a blue shield, I'm doing perfectly fine. See, I'm actually getting pummeled by the boss right now. And I only have one flask left, but that's okay. Because at the end of the day, all you can do is just keep fighting the boss to the best of your ability. The same way that these bosses never slow down no matter how much health they're on, that's how you need to play too. I noticed that like when fighting Malekith or Promise Consort or I'm fighting Mesmer, the bosses actually tend to get stronger the lower amount of health that they have. I don't know if that's true or if it's just my experience, but you kind of want to adopt that mindset as well. Like no matter how much health you have or how many flasks you have, always fight at the same amount of strength. Always give it your all. Alright, my teammate's on 2 bars. Nothing a few tap R2s can't handle. Get them up pretty easily. If I had the increased duration for my Storm Relic equipped, I would be using that on him while he's downed like that, because when you have that relic equipped, your character skill is actually pretty helpful when it comes to reviving teammates. Surprised he actually deflected that. You see, the boss's health is at like 25%. I have no more heals left, but I still have a few physic flasks, and I'm like on half of my HP. I should be fine. I know what I'm doing. Teammates on 3 bars. That's not looking good. Thankfully, we also did hit Noclateo, so we do have that res as well. Kind of weird how I got frostbite. And it's nice that my ultimate art does heal us both, so that's good. I forgot about that. But yeah, like I was saying with Noclateo, make sure, I would really recommend learning a good route for at least one shifting earth. The easiest for me is Rotted Woods because you can literally just go around fighting as many big bosses as you want. But yeah, memorize and know a good route for at least one shifting earth because those shifting earths can really be helpful to your game. Or you can always, if you don't like shifting earths, run the Evergel relic and hit as many Evergels as you can. But the majority of times that I get queued up with someone who's using that relic, we don't even have the time, or we don't take a route that benefits them with like fighting as many Evergel bosses as we can. So I usually just, I don't, to be honest, I stray for them from that relic. I don't use it too much. You can see me getting frustrated putting the markers at my feet. I was tired of seeing my teammate die to those boss AoEs. Oh yeah, and for this attack, you can always position yourself right next to the boss's tail. Get some good damage in like that, and make sure to break that shield. Yeah, but thankfully we do have Noclateo, so we basically both have an extra life. So we're guaranteed to win this. I mean, the boss is about to die. We still have a lot more fight left in us. I might die to this attack. Have my guard up. I should be fine with my guard. But yeah, my teammate's on 3 bars. I'm about to die. It's not looking good. Let's see. When my ultimate charges back up, I can res him. Yeah, you want to get away from those aftershocks. Those are super deadly. Usually, you want to stay close to the boss so that when it does attacks like these, you're already in position to punish it. Finally, he used his ultimate. I mean, we're only at the end of the fight here. But yeah, you see me get towards the boss's tail for that attack. Free damage. Get close to him when he wants to slam his tail. And yeah, pretty easy. Had my ultimate at the end. That's how you do it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate. And I just have to ask that the next time you queue up with the Guardian, you just give him a chance.